Yeah, I'll beat Oprah. Oprah would be a lot of fun. I know her very well. You know, I did one of her last shows. She had Donald Trump, this is before politics, her last week. And she had Donald Trump, and my family. It was very nice. No, I like Oprah. I don't think she's going to run. I don't think she's going to run. I know her very well.
The president earlier today responding to a report Oprah Winfrey might be the savior for the Democrats against him in 2020, something the liberal media has been completely giddy about. Here with the reaction. The Hill's Joe Concha and President Trump's daughter-in-law and senior advisor for Trump 2020, Laura Trump, is with us. First of all, congratulations. I just saw pictures of the baby.
Thank you.
Absolutely. That hair is to die for. It's amazing. Look, I honestly think that when all the noise settles, at the end of the day, the fact that we have 2 million fewer people on food stamps, the economy is turning around, every indicator. I won't go through the list now.
Oh, my gosh. We could go on for hours, right?
I have 100 and some accomplishments in year one.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's not forget that is what the strategy is for 2020. That is what my father-in-law is going to run on. The incredible achievements. We've already seen he hasn't even been in office for a full year. And look at what he's done. So I would love to know if Oprah is who we have to run against in 2020. She's an incredible woman. I think she has many, many accomplishments under her belt, a great television host. But let's not forget, Donald Trump in 2016 defeated 16 incredible GOP candidates and Hillary Clinton,
and the media laughed
darling
at the
of the
idea.
media. Oh, they said he had no shot. And it's going to be a lot harder, I think, to run against him in 2020 than anybody is suggesting right now. And I think Oprah would be very smart to sit this one out.
Yeah. Well, why is there a desire always of the media, Joe, for their savior? Because we know that they wake up in the morning seeing what they can hate Donald Trump about for any given day.
Sean, I think the media is advocating for an Oprah Winfrey candidacy because never in the history of clicks and ratings would there be anything better from an infotainment perspective, from a business perspective, than Winfrey versus Trump in 2020. And I just find it amazing that the same media that derided a political novice and a TV host for having the audacity to run in 2016 is now drooling over the prospect of Oprah Winfrey doing it in 2020.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I always like to ask you, because I watch the attacks on your family. You know that they always wanted to get Donald Trump. They never thought he'd win. Then he wins. Then they're attacking it. Then Russia collusion, not proven. A lot is now boomeranging back, but it's hard. How hard has it been on your family?
Listen, it's I won't lie and say it's been easy. It's hard every single day. We get hit from every possible angle. No matter what we do, we're going to get hit. So I think for all of us, it's about making sure that we support my father-in-law and the incredible job that he's doing for this country.
The agenda's good for the country, Laura.
It is. There's no two ways about it. And come February 1st, when people have a lot fatter paycheck, even the people that didn't vote for Donald Trump are going to say, wait a minute, maybe this guy is onto something. Maybe this tax reform was a good thing.
How is the baby's 4 months old, right?
Almost 4 months old this week.
Has he been in the Oval Office yet?
He has.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you have those pictures? Have you tweeted those out?
Oh, my gosh. Yes, we have. Actually, Eric tweeted a picture out of him there.
You know he has the same desk that John F. Kennedy had and Ronald Reagan had. And they still have that opening. I
think he may be the youngest to sit behind that desk, our son.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
I would take the picture in the opening, too.
Yeah.
And definitely with the hairstyle I saw today. It was amazing. All right, last word, Joe Concha. I think at the end of the day, the noise goes away. Is the economy better? And are we safer as a country? And how many promises did he keep?
Well, that's what you have to look at, Sean, what was the 5 biggest issues that voters voted on in 2016, according to most polls. Economy, okay, which you could say things are going excellent, as you pointed out before. Jobs, unemployment at a 17-year low. ISIS, the caliphate, 98% of it destroyed. Healthcare, incomplete. That didn't work out in 2017. And then, obviously, immigration, which is being discussed today. We're in year 2 now. So if 4 of those 5 are kept, I don't see Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, those key states where trade and economy were really important. It's hard to see those votes flipping. And again, it depends on the Democrats.
Show us 200, 300 miles of the wall. Great to see you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Congrats on the baby.
Thank you so much.
Is there any agreement without the wall?
No, there wouldn't be.
The wall has to be there.
You need it. John, you need the wall. I mean, it's wonderful. I'd love not to build the wall, but you need the wall. And I will tell you this, the ICE officers and the Border Patrol agents, I had them just recently up. They say if you don't have the wall, in certain areas, obviously, that aren't protected by nature, if you don't have the wall, you cannot have security. You just can't have it. It doesn't work.
Welcome. Got it. Welcome back to Hannity here with reaction to my opening monologue and the president's big bipartisan meeting on immigration at the White House today. Counsel to the president, Kellyanne Conway, is back. Good to see you, Kellyanne. Here, the president put out this tweet earlier tonight, and he said, building the wall, and we heard him over and over again, it's imperative. I know that conservatives, friends of mine, they doubt because they've been promised again and again and again. We always get the consideration, amnesty, never the wall. We always get the spending increase, never the tax cut. Now we have the tax cut. People want to see that wall. They want to see some of it by November.
Everyone in that room today, everyone watching now, knows where the president stands on the wall. He just repeated it for you, live and in person in front of the entire world to see, Sean.
Yep.
The wall is an imperative. And the wall, the president made clear today, because he's conferred with those literally on the front lines who want this wall. He asked the ICE agents, he asked the Border Patrol agents, he asked those on the front lines what they need. Secretary Nielsen has asked her, folks, what do you need to be able to do your job, to make us a more safe and secure nation? And they've all said, we need this type of secure, we need a border. We have spent billions of dollars over decades helping other countries secure their own borders, their own sovereignty. It's high time we did it in our country, and this is the leader who will make it happen, Donald Trump. I think in the span of 1 hour today, you saw in full the three major promises this president has made to the country: security, prosperity, and transparency. The transparency is obvious. Even some of his greatest critics in the media were flabbergasted, really stunned but appreciative that this president held forth on camera for a full hour with no filter, no script for anybody, just a conversation, bicameral, bipartisan, unprecedented in that way in the cabinet room. Secondly, the security. This president knows his first obligation is to keep us safe and secure in this country. You do that with a wall. The wall, the southern border is 2,000 miles. About 800 or so might be the physical wall. There are mountainous and river areas where you can't put a physical structure, but you can put fencing, you can have technology, you can put more agents there. It makes us more safe and secure. People are already not crossing as much as they did illegally because this man is president, because they know walls are being built, because they know that folks are tougher. We don't want the poison, the drugs coming over our border. We don't want people here illegally through chain migration and the visa lottery. And finally, the prosperity. Economic security and national security go hand in hand. And you see what's happening with this president, his leadership, his bold actions along with that of the Republicans in Congress and that massive tax cut for the middle class. They are making this country more prosperous. Consumer confidence, unemployment levels down for African Americans, for teens, for Hispanics, for women, for all of America. All the confidence measures up. National security, economic security go hand in hand. The wall is not negotiable. The Democrats came there today basically saying DACA is not negotiable. Give us a clean DACA bill. The president said no. The wall, DACA to be considered the wall, but also an end to chain migration, which accounts for about 9.3 million resettled in the population a year.
But
one person comes here and you get about 7 family members. Some sending countries send upwards of 20 members. It has to stop.
When I showed the tape of Chuck Schumer, and then there's Bernie Sanders, then there's Hillary Clinton, then there's Barack Obama.
Yes.
All these Democrats, they basically sound like Donald Trump. But now, because Donald Trump supports it, they can't possibly support it. Only if the anointed one, Obama, maybe if Oprah supported it, they support it. And so is it just opposition to this president for the sake of opposition? And the other point is, all these days, I saw a president in command of the facts, leading, opening up transparency like we never had before today. And that's what made it so fascinating.
It was, and those of us who work there see that every day on a regular basis. He really enjoys a discussion. He welcomes dissent and he welcomes discussion. This president takes many different inputs and ideas, and he makes the final decision. He was the one elected here after all. But I think what you saw on full display today is very similar to what we see on an ongoing basis at this White House. And let me just say this. When you ask what's different now, sure, what's different for these Democrats, including Hillary Clinton, they are crowing and bragging about how much she doesn't think we should have people crossing illegally and we should have borders. And wow, she should have said that in 2016. She might have made some of those states more competitive, although anyway, we would have won anyway. But the fact is that what's changed is, number one, they have a president who's willing to actually do it. And just like with these tax cuts, just like with moving the embassy to Jerusalem, people have promised it, but they never thought they'd have a president who would do it. Number two, they are beholden, many of them, to special interest. And this is a president who's talking about national interest, not special interest.
Last question, quick answer. We're running out of time. For 2018, isn't it good for the Republican Party to be able to say, see, we're keeping our promise? We have 200 or 300 miles of the wall done now. Take a look at it. We meant it. We got it done.
No doubt. We didn't get here overnight. We know the wall can't be built overnight, but people seeing that it is happening, that you have a physical wall, you also have technology, you have fencing in places where a physical wall cannot happen. And most importantly, you end the chain migration, the diversity visa lottery, and you show people about that southern border that we have more ICE agents there. We need to empower these men and women with the tools they need to do their jobs.
All right, Kellyanne, thanks for staying up late. I know you're always up early. We appreciate it. When we come back. Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. It was a weird scene in Washington today. President Trump, you'll remember, ran for office promising to fix immigration, make good deals, and in general do a better job than the corrupt, incompetent lawmakers he said were wrecking the country. And he was right, they were wrecking the country. And yet today, in a remarkable twist, the president held a televised meeting with the very swamp creatures he once denounced. He told them he trusted them to craft immigration policy without his input. Then he suggested he'd be willing to accept any deal they produced, even a bad one.
When this group comes back, hopefully with an agreement, this group and others from the Senate, from the House, comes back with an agreement, I'm signing it. I mean, I will be signing it. I'm not going to say, oh, gee, I want this or I want that. I'll be signing it because I have a lot of confidence in the people in this room that you're going to come out with something really good.
At one point, the president agreed with Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein of California that it would be wise to handle the question of DACA separately before negotiating any meaningful reform of our broken and dysfunctional immigration system.
And I don't know how you would feel about this, but I'd like to ask the question, what about a clean DACA bill now, and with a commitment that we go into a comprehensive immigration reform procedure like we did back, I remember when Kennedy was here, and it was really a major, major effort, and it was a great disappointment that it went nowhere.
I have no problem. I think that's basically what Dick is saying. We're going to come out with DACA. We're going to do DACA, and then we can start immediately on the phase 2, which would be comprehensive.
Would you be agreeable to that?
Yeah, I would like to do that.
Key allies very close to the president on immigration told us this afternoon they were shocked by what they saw in that meeting. It was a completely different Donald Trump from the one we watched on the campaign trail just 2 years ago. How different? Let's put it this way. Trump's rival from the 2016 race, Jeb Bush, who was on the far left of Republican sentiment on immigration questions, tweeted these words in response to the meeting, quote, encouraged the president is seeking bipartisan solutions to our immigration challenges. In 2016, Donald Trump ran on the premise that America's borders ought to be real, that the repeated amnesties of the past have betrayed voters, and that this country deserves an immigration policy that looks out for American interests rather than those of foreign countries. Almost nobody in Washington agreed with him at the time. Almost nobody in Washington agrees with him now. Congress is full of people from both parties who believe that the point of our immigration policy is to provide cheap labor to their donors and to atone for America's imaginary sins against the world. They couldn't care less about immigration's effect on you or your family. Yet these are the same people the president now says he trusts to write the immigration bill, the one he'll sign no matter what it says. So what was the point of running for president? You'll remember the president also ran on his skills as a negotiator, and he clearly has skills as a negotiator. But where were they today? The president signaled he'd be happy to legalize hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants now, and then at some point in the future tackle all that other stuff, like making sure they can't bring millions of their relatives from the third world along with them. That's not much of a negotiation.
Amnesty for DACA recipients is the only leverage the White House has. Once the president agrees to let them jump to the head of the line, ahead of millions of other people hoping to come here legally, the negotiation is over. At that point, why would Democrats agree to anything? Ending chain migration, the diversity lottery, supporting a merit-based system that might actually help America? No chance. The Democrats' goal is to import more Democratic voters, and by any means necessary. Once they retake the Congress and the presidency, and if Trump betrays his base in immigration, that'll definitely happen, it is over. Say goodbye to borders. They are done. Keep in mind that the top Democrat in the House recently thanked illegal aliens for sneaking into this country. That's how Democrats feel, and they're not pretending anymore. Being a Trump voter isn't always easy. It's like rooting for the underdog in baseball, the old Chicago Cubs. On one level, there is pride, the pride that comes from doing something that fashionable people consider insane. And that's a good feeling. But there's also some disappointment along the way, and honestly, there's some embarrassment. But you silently bear it because you know that when they finally win the World Series, it'll be worth everything you went through. Every sarcastic dig from your brother-in-law at Thanksgiving will seem small by comparison. In the Trump presidency, the World Series is this immigration bill. It's the big payoff. It's the whole point of the exercise. And they're not allowed to blow it. Well, a few months ago, James Damore learned the hard way what happens when you question the groupthink of Silicon Valley. While working at Google, the world's most powerful company, Damore privately circulated a paper questioning his employer's diversity policies. He didn't attack anyone. He just questioned the internal logic of what he was being told. For that, the company vilified him and his character and then fired him. Now, Damore and another ex-Google employee, David Guterman, are suing that company. They're accusing Google of systemic bias against white employees, men, and conservatives. Their 161-page lawsuit exposes a remarkable and terrifying climate at Google, a place where biased, hateful, and even violent political rhetoric is totally acceptable, just as long as it's directed against the right targets. The suit contains documents that shows Googlers openly maintain, for example, politically motivated employee blacklists. Here's one. In 2015, Google manager Paul Cowan wrote the following on Google's internal networks for all employees to see. If you express a dunderheaded opinion about religion, about politics, or about social justice, it turns out I'm allowed to think you're a halfwit. I'm perfectly within my rights to mentally categorize you in my D-head box. Yes, I maintain mentally, but not yet publicly, a blacklist. If I had to work with people on this list, I would refuse and try to get them removed. Well, the blacklists were real and not just internal. They also applied to conservative figures from outside the company. Blogger Curtis Yarvin, known online as Mencius Moldbug, once visited Google to have lunch with an employee. According to the suit, Yarvin's arrival triggered a silent alarm at Google. Security arrived to escort him off campus. His mere presence was considered unacceptable. According to the lawsuit, Google employees were awarded with bonuses by the company for publicly denouncing Damore's memo. In April of 2017, Google manager Chris Bissell advised employees if they spoke at conferences, they should do so only while demanding that white males from other companies be kicked off panels in favor of women or non-white employees. Quote, "You'll feel pretty damn smug about doing it," Bissell said. Google HR said Bissell's attacks on the basis of race and gender somehow broke no company rules. And that's just scratching the surface of what Damore has brought to light. The suit has more than 100 examples of employees and managers saying conservatives or Trump supporters ought to be fired, defending political violence, implementing quota systems to discriminate against white people and men to the benefit of other favored groups. It's intense, it's appalling, but don't kid yourself. It's not just happening at Google. Last night, Dennis Finley, who was an editor at the Burlington Free Press, was fired by the media giant Gannett because he dared to question a proposal that would add a third gender option to driver's licenses in Vermont. Now, if you're conservative, it might be difficult to get your head around what is happening in this country. So much has changed. But here's the bottom line. The federal government is no longer the main threat to your privacy and to your freedoms. You've grown up thinking that. It's no longer true. Big corporations are the main threat to your freedom and your privacy. The government doesn't own your private emails. Google does. Federal employees can't be fired for their political views. Private sector employees are all the time. The Trump administration can't end your ability to publicly communicate your ideas. Twitter and Facebook can do that, and they do it all the time. The Orwellian future is increasingly the Orwellian present, and tech barons are becoming our new commissars. Liberals who once admirably stood up for free expression and in opposition to concentrations of corporate power have been thoroughly co-opted. They're getting rich from it. James Damore has seen it all from the inside firsthand. He joins us now with his lawyer, Harmeet Dillon. Welcome to you both.
Happy to be here.
So, James, in reading these documents, what's so striking is not just that you got fired for expressing your views, and I want to restate, having read the piece that got you fired, you weren't attacking anybody, but you're raising questions. You got fired for that. But Google seemed to feel the need to vilify you after you got fired, to discredit you, to attack your character, and to encourage others to do the same. That seems Stalinist. Why did they feel the need to do that, do you think?
Because I attacked their orthodoxy, and they really need to send a message to other employees that, no, you can't do this. You can't question our policies.
Yeah, well, they certainly did, paying bonuses to people who denounced you, like a Khmer Rouge re-education session. So, Harmeet, in this complaint, you have example after example of Google targeting people on the basis of their race and their sex. My impression was that was illegal. Is it?
It is illegal. It's illegal under federal law. It's illegal under California law. And what a lot of lawyers even around the country don't understand, that under California law, we have a unique labor code provision that makes it illegal to discriminate against somebody on the basis of their political activities or their political views. So that is among the claims in our lawsuit. And that can actually affect a lot, and it has affected women at Google. So to be clear, our lawsuit actually includes women as well if they've been discriminated against on the basis of any of these protected characteristics.
But I mean, Google is the most powerful company in the world, the most famous company in the world, and they're doing this openly. I mean, on internal servers. They don't seem to have worried they were going to get in trouble for violating a pretty basic law. Why?
Well, so they're a $700 billion plus company. They are ubiquitous. They have virtual monopoly power over search engines, and they've been getting away with it for a long time. Now, probably you and I and some other conservatives have been alarmed about what we've read about Google being able to scan Gmail and keep all of your data. That's what's really troubling about this. They, at one time, know everything about you. And at the other hand, they're using that information against you. We've seen them do this in their commercial practices as well. The demonetization of viewpoints they don't believe in on YouTube and other places. And I'm hearing from people inside the company and people who've left the company that their artificial intelligence programs for search engines similarly are applying political biases and filters. And you and I wouldn't even know it. And eventually we're going to find that they're controlling what people think. They are. Obviously inside the company, they're getting away with punishing people and controlling what people think. And, people don't understand that on Silicon Valley, they have these campuses. And you come to the campus in the morning, they take care of your dry cleaning, all of your meals, entertainment, everything. And so people are in this little bubble. It's like the brave new world of Silicon Valley.
And that's fine, shocking. But the fact that they're controlling our political dialogue and the way people experience reality, and Congress just sits there passively as if they have no authority, is contemptible. So, James, I would encourage, by the way, our viewers to go online and read what you wrote, because it's hardly radical, it's sensible and smart. Do you think that being at odds with Google is going to affect your future employment prospects?
Yes, definitely. And many employees have made it clear that they're spreading the message about not only me, but anyone that they've discovered that has certain viewpoints, to blackball them out of careers within Silicon Valley.
So why is that not terrifying?
Oh, I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, for every James Damore who got fired, Tucker, there are many people inside the company who we represent who are afraid to even raise their hand and say this is happening to me, because the threat is not just of a blacklist within Google, but of a blacklist within the entire tech community throughout the United States. That's how scary this is.
If you're a conservative and you grew up thinking that the federal bureaucracy was the greatest threat to you, it takes a while to realize, no, it's not actually. It's Google, and they have more power. And I just Godspeed to you both, and we really wish you well, and we'll be following this case. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you, Tucker.
Thank you.